Hello, welcome back to another exciting episode of everything you always want to know about fiberglass but were afraid to ask. I'm Eyeball John, and this is the underside of a 1958 Corvette. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to find cracks and how to repair them properly using fiberglass mat and resin. So let's get started. As you can see, I already started doing some repairs underneath the car. This is a 58 and it's C1 and it's considered white glass. All C1s are considered white glass. Big misconception on Corvettes is that they came with gel coat from the factory, and they didn't. None of the years came with a gel coat. This is the actual natural fiberglass. It's a yellowish white. There was considered white, gray, and black fiberglass in '67. If you're restoring a car to NCRS standards, the underneath of the car is supposed to be bare, natural glass with no paint. We usually put a flat clear over the bottom of the car once it's done. Like I said, I started some repair. You could see there was some huge cutouts on the bottom of the car. For what reason, I don't know. This one, the top, I already did. Glassed it in. This side, I glassed both sides already, top and bottom. These cutouts in the floor of the trunk were actually needed. They are access holes for the rear bumper on a 58. So they had to be cut open again, and you're never too old to learn something new. This 58 was in pretty good shape. There was a no-hit car. The only damage was this back panel of the trunk, which you could see had Bondo over cracks and poor repairs. So it was ground down to fresh glass. The seam was opened up and that was ground down. You could see also all the lips that for the exhaust and for the bumpers were missing. That was all ground down. 2-inch tape is used as backing for the new fiberglass. The fiberglass mat is cut into strips and laid in sections on top of each other and sanded each time. I think I put about 3 or 4 layers on top until I got the lip back to where it's supposed to be. As you can see, all glass, no plastic. So what I'm going to show you now is the proper way of finding cracks. Sometimes they're hidden, you can't see, but I'll show you a little trick on how to find them. So here is the back lower panel of the 58, the trunk area, and you can barely make out some black lines coming through the panel. But if you take some wax and grease remover, spray it on, if you can see them, they're much more pronounced now. So those are all cracks, all the way down. Let me get a little more spray in here, and you can see them. Okay, that's all stress cracks, and that's the easiest way to find them. You could use lacquer thinner. It will evaporate faster. Wax and grease remover will stay a little longer. I would suggest using a fast evaporating wax and grease remover. Pre-clean, whatever you want to call it. But this is the best way to find a crack on a Corvette. As soon as you hit it, it'll pop, and the crack will stay darker as the fiberglass dries. All right, so what I'm going to do now is break out the grinder, start grinding, and then I'll show you how to repair it. Okay, so little angle grinder, which is pretty much the grinder I use all the time. 3-inch pad, 24 grit. I'm about to grind the area, so we start the repair. Gas on. Okay, that was it. As you can see, the area is grinded down. Let me spray it again with the pre-cleaner. And now you can see that the cracks have disappeared. I ground them down. I wouldn't suggest going through. Some cracks go in a little deeper. You can see a little light coming through. I don't want to grind any more than that. That's plenty. When the crack disappears, you're pretty much safe. Sometimes even if you see the crack, as long as the glass is thick enough, it won't come back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is cut some fiberglass mat. I like to get all the glass cut beforehand. It makes the procedure much easier when you have smaller pieces of glass to work with. Okay, I'll show you that in a second. So this is basically all you need to do fiberglass work. What you have here is a good pair of scissors, 3 different size brushes. We got the mat. It's a 3/4 ounce mat, the liquid resin, and the hardener. And if you want to tint the glass, we'll get into that at another time. Beige and black, a little bit of that into the resin to tint it. Mixing cups, if you want to wear gloves, gloves. I usually don't use gloves unless I do a very large area. And so let's cut some glass. Okay, like I said, this is the mat. Comes in rolls. You can get different sizes, different weights. I use 3/4 inch mat because it's thin, it's flexible, and it absorbs the resin fast. And that's what you want for a good repair, is for the resin to soak into the mat fast and not leave any air bubbles. So I tore off a piece of glass. Another trick I do too, you see it's pretty stiff, the glass, but if you just give it a little crumble, it relaxes the glass and it makes it lay out a lot easier. So what I like to do too is rip. I rip the glass. And what that does, as you can see, it leaves like a feathered edge, you know. Of course, you're going to be sanding the fiberglass smooth, but when you use a feathered edge, it lays into the existing glass a lot better. If you use a sharp edge like this, it doesn't blend in as good. Sometimes when you're trying to hide it in areas where you're not going to be painted, the less sanding you have to do, the better. So, like I said, I usually try and get all my pieces cut and get ready, so this way when the resin is mixed, you just lay it on and continue your repair. Okay, let's mix up some resin. This resin is a little thick. I usually like using thinner resin. This resin's a little old, but it still works. As far as mixing proportions, truthfully, I've been doing it so long, I don't really measure. This is the hardener. Let's give it a little squeeze, mix out a little bit. I would say the best thing is go online and find what they recommend as far as amount of MEK hardener. You'll see the resin, it'll start to change color, which means the chemical reaction has already taken place. Quick little stir. Okay, let's go lay some glass. I always put a little piece of paper on the floor or cardboard just to keep the area clean from dripping resin. Up here, that's the actual drain hole that's supposed to be there. I put a piece of 2-inch tape. I usually put something for a backing so the glass can hang on to. All right, so let's get started. What I do is brush some resin on the area. piece of glass, just dab it. And just work it in. Just keep adding resin. Get the glass soaked. Work out any air bubbles that you see. Like I said, this 3/4 inch mat, 3/4 ounce mat, you usually don't have too many problems with bubbles. Bubbles will weaken the repair. As you can see, the glass blends right away into the existing glass. And just work the resin in to the mat. And there you have it. That's all you have to do. Keep layering it. Usually 2, 3, maybe 4 layers. I always build up the mat a little bit more than I need, so that when I sand it, there's no plastic needed. All right, so I have 3 layers of glass on there. Everything looks good. Everything laid out nice. Give that time to cure, sand it, and it'll blend right into the panel. So there you go, a quick way of finding cracks and repairing them. It would have been easier to show you on the top of the car how to repair a crack, but since all the fiberglass work is done on the top, I figured I'd show you a quick way of repairing it on the bottom. I've been getting a lot of questions on how to do fiberglass repairs. There's a lot more to go over as far as different types of glass, different types of resins, how to tint the resin, but there'll be more videos to come on that. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, and ask questions, and I'll be seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Bo John signing off.